In this video, I am going to tackle or talk about the sources and uses of short and long-term funds, debt financing and equity financing. With debt financing, you'll save a lot of time and you'll receive the money relatively quickly, typically within a few days to a few weeks. You can also use financing for either the short or long term. Short-term financing is revolving and is used for purposes like inventory or material cost. Long-term debt financing is considered an installment and typically finances machinery, equipment, or startup cost. With debt financing, the terms are straightforward and laid out at the beginning. You know exactly how much you'll be paying back and by what date. Sa debt financing, makasave ka og daghang panahon pa ana. Unya magdawat ka og kwarta dali rasad og sagaran sa pagdawat ana kay mga pila ra ka adlaw or semana. Naay short term ug long term ang financing. Short term base sa akong na-search sa Google. Example ana ang buy now, pay later or payday loans kana sang credit card. So sa credit card nasa na sila ginatawag nga grace period nga bayran na nimo og full ang balance sa dili pa mag-charge og interest. Labing mas dugay unom ka bulan. So 3 to 6 months using credit card. Nagkinahanglan mabayran na nimo human sa giset nga adlaw. Ug kung dili nimo mabayran ang loan ana nga time sa tingbayad imuhang interest charges kay magkapaspas og puno og mag-purchase ka or kung magpalit ka gamit ang credit card. Naa sad short term unsecured loan or dili na siya sayon nga choice kay masugatan nimo during emergencies or expenses. Mas dako pa ni siya og amount higher value kumpara sa credit card nga may limit. Usa sa mga example ana kay ang medical or magpa-ospital ka like for emergencies. Next is long-term financing. So, usa sa nasabtan nako bahin sa long-term financing kay ang usa na ibutang ta ang tuition. So, obligasyon man nato nga bayran ang tuition pero nagyoy mga times nga labi na sa mga dili pa kabayad dayon wala siya specific exact date o ganang adlaw dapat gyud na bayran nimo kay magpaabot man na sila kanus ana nimo sila bayran sa amount nga naka-record dito imuhang balance nga pagabayran. Equity financing takes more time. Business owners and investors will go back and forth negotiating the investment package, meaning what percentage stake will be given in exchange for funding, and a lot of time is spent discussing the future value of the business. If you're dealing with more than one investor, differing opinions on what that value ultimately might be could make matters more complicated and thus take even more time and negotiation. Additionally, there's a lot more legal work involved in equity financing, which again makes this more time-consuming route. So, sa equity financing, katuni siyang mga business owners, businessman, businesswoman nga nag-negotiate sa mga investors. Katong mga ganahan mo invest sa ilaha, magsige ko na sila o gabalik-balik o kanang endorse or mag-discuss about sa ilaha nga i-offer nga business. So, dili sa ni sila dali-dali og ingon dayon nga makig-deal sila ana nga businessman kay kinahanglan na siya og taas pang panahon para i-discuss about anang ilahang offer. Og more importantly, ilasad nang gilantaw ug giunsa nila pag-value ang ilahang negosyo. So, proceed ta sa types of debt financing. Number one, personal loans. If you're using your own assets or if your business is brand new, you may borrow a fixed amount of money to get capital for running operations, buying new equipment, or increasing your storage capacity. Second, Small Business Administration or SBA. You can get financing from a government body dedicated to providing small business owners with the funding and materials they require to grow their business. This funding offers a variety of loan programs with creditors. So sa personal loans, pwedeng nimong gamiton imuhang kaugalingon nga kwarta nga imuhang pangkapital. And then Small Business Administration, sa example ani is kanang naa sa merkado kay wala na sila'y building pero pwede sila kahulam sa gobyerno unya ilahara na ang mabayran if naa na sila'y sales sa ilahang gipangbaligya. Instead of building an establishment, pwede na nila gamiton para usasan na siya sa way nga mas ma-grow pang ilahang negosyo. Number 3, credit cards. You can apply for your own business card like a personal credit card. These credit cards have the same terms as personal credit cards, such as repayment schedules and interest rates. Number 4, conventional loans. This financing option provides you with a sum of money that you're obligated to repay with interest over a predefined time frame. Number 5, cash flow loans. This loan allows you to receive a set amount of money based on your current earnings. So, unsa di ay ang equity financing? Equity financing is the process of raising capital through the sale of shares. Companies raise money because they might have a short-term need to pay bills or have a long-term goal and require funds to invest in their growth. By selling shares, a company is effectively selling ownership in their company in return for cash. So sa equity financing kay mao na siya ang process of pagpadako sa capital through gikan sa halin sa imong nga share sa company, which is magamit na nimo kung nagkinahanglan ka magbayad og bills o naa kay long term nga goal nimo nga gina-required sa imong funds, magtabang sa nimo pagtubo sa imong invest. Next, what are the types of equity financing? So, unsa ang mga types sa equity financing? Number 1 is angel investors. So, angel investors are individuals who specifically provide funding for businesses. They typically have a sizable amount of cash on hand and are looking for good returns on their investments. Most angel investors look to fund startups or early stage companies because they can shape the direction of the business from the beginning. Second is mezzanine financing. Mezzanine financing combines debt and equity financing. Typically, medium-sized businesses select this type of funding because it counts as equity on a company's balance sheet and provides businesses with a lower debt to equity ratio. The less a business relies on debt to fund their operations, the less risk there is. Therefore, this option can help attract more investors. Third is royalty financing, also known as revenue commission. Royalty financing occurs when investors provide cash for a company's expenses in exchange for a percentage of a product sales. Since investors expect to receive immediate payments, the business needs to prove it's already generating revenue. To determine whether it's worth the investment, investors will want to look at proof such as profit and loss statements and or company balance sheet. Fourth one is venture capital firms. Venture capital firms are entities which provide funding to business in return for ownership or shares. Like angel investors, venture capital firms also look to invest in businesses that offer high rates of return. These firms use combined funds from multiple professional investors. Fifth one is initial public offering or IPO. This type of financing occurs when a company chooses to offer shares on a publicly traded market for the first time. Since the company wants to transition to publicly traded company, it needs to comply with SEC guidelines. Before shares become publicly available, companies will need to publish a prospectus, including detailed financial statements to attract investors. Number 6, crowdfunding. Crowdfunding involves selling shares of a company to the public. In other words, privately held businesses attempt to raise money by selling part ownership of a company to the public, usually through unconventional channels such as social media.